Well, it's another Tuesday, but the news seems to be stuck on last week. I'm just saying, super egos at it again. They're like, you know what? We didn't like that story, so we're just going to change our name. We're going to talk about that and some more stuff later. You know what we got to do? We'll see you guys here in just a minute.
Paying too much for trucking insurance? What if you could save more by making one simple phone call and keep more profit? You could very well do just that with one simple call to Seabright Agency, 800-366-6466. Call now.
Now here's a question that all owner-operators and small fleet owners should consider. What happens when you access the unrivaled advantages that are available through the ES Advantage program? We asked Jeff and Charlie from Contractors Corner to share their thoughts on how they've been able to utilize the discounts and services that are a part of the ES Advantage.
So we started looking for a way to save money on fuel. And we were turned on to the ES Advantage program for fuel first. And so we got a hold of Jeff Reese, and he ran us through that program. And man, we were starting to save. And then we started talking to them. Well, we saw their website, and we said, Jeff, what's this thing about insurance and accounting and
Right.
you lease trucks? What?
Right, and that's the thing, is we only knew it as a fuel card. And when we started digging deeper, I mean, we ended up getting hooked up with an insurance provider, Seabright Agency, and they created an entire insurance program just for us and our people. And from that, we've learned that, you know, now there's even more potential. There's a greater opportunity, and it's completely opened up our eyes and broadened our vision into what it is we're trying to do, which is help people do better. Wrapped with the ES community just makes that process so much easier.
Now, if you're an owner-operator or small fleet owner and you would like to learn more about how you can drive savings to the bottom line of your business, the ES Advantage program has the discounts and services that deliver the kind of unrivaled advantages that are designed to help you improve your overall operation. Get connected with the ES Advantage today.
Well, hey, everybody. Jeff is not on camera. He's doing a thing. I'm going to put it on. What's up, man?
It's another day in paradise, man.
Yeah. I feel you, brother. I feel you. Oh,
It's summertime again.
right.
We got snow a week ago Friday. Now it's like 80 degrees.
Yeah, it makes sense. I got that carb shake thing going on right now, Jeff. It's pretty awesome. It came on during the commercial.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Like I was holding my cigar and it just started wobbling in my hand. Like I got Parkinson's and stuff. It's a good time. I think I ate a sandwich earlier. So on a big roll. And I had a insane smoothie this morning before having anything else.
Right.
That was my downfall. Yep.
Speaking of shaking like you got the Parkinson's.
Huh?
So I know that we don't have political opinions on this show at all.
Right.
But you know that blue-haired, like literally blue-haired old Democrat from whatever state it is that keeps saying that she's going to go after the other side? I finally saw her actually talk in a hearing. Holy cow, man. I didn't realize she was like 82 years old.
Yeah.
Holy cow. She was having a time of it. I kind of felt sorry for her.
Yeah. Hey, my love, can you make me some coffee, please? Please.
Are you pulling out your non-existent hair over there, Charlie?
Yes. What's up, Victor? Let's see. All right. We gotta do the thing. Who's Chris?
I said that, by the way, Charlie, so that you know that's what we have to look forward to.
Stop it.
Yeah, just watch C-SPAN. A lot of the, and it's not just Democrats. I don't mean to belittle just one side. There's old people in there, and you watch them, and you're like, that's me in like 20 years.
Right? Like for real. So Chris was first. Trucker Tim was second. Craig was third. Ida's like, and fourth. I told them they could all have a poke in the eye. Just saying. I thought that was generous. It's one of those days we could just, hand those out left and right. Jim Wall, good to see you, buddy. Tim Ransom, nice to see you. Tim Ransom says, don't come to California, no freight. And Victor Jackson. So there you go. And Mark Rollinger, what's up, man? Yeah. Matt Nissen, good to see you. So I got Jenny and Narc coming back again today. Just because we were going back into this subject, and I thought they helped the conversation last week. But if anyone else wants to jump in, you are actually welcome to jump in. The link is pinned to the comments here, and you can pop in. I'm like wobbly still, Jeff. It's crazy. Usually it comes and goes. 20 years. Timothy Ransom said, 20 years, Jeff. You're already there. That's funny, actually. You want to fight him? Let's fight him. Mike Henderson, what's going on, man? Every day
I'll fight
Oh my God. Now you're talking like you have Parkinson's. Signal's not your friend. You are a robot, sir. What's up, Narc? Drag your sorry tail in here, sir. I told people you're going to be here. I'm just saying. We're going to have to just start calling this Trucking Talks Live with Narc and Jenny. We've been having you guys a lot, and I like it, though. Craig has jokes. Started with Super Ego yesterday. Got a 2019 camera. Let's get this 10K a week for real. Yep, all good, man. I don't know where Jenny's at either, so she said she was coming. So no worries. I got to BS before we get into the meat of this thing anyhow. So, Jeff, are you back yet?
I don't know.
Oh, there you are. Yeah, you were a transformer, bro. Your voice was doing all kinds of crazy stuff. That digital.
I'm passing the aim best billboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see. So Narc's there finally. Mike Henderson. Yeah. And Craig joined Super Ego yesterday. Could you imagine him going to Super Ego? James Vaughn, good to see you. Pop Swift not looking so bad, right? I don't know. I don't think they've ever looked that bad. Uh-oh. Jeff went away again. Come back.
It's going in and out.
Oh, there you are. Hi.
Hey.
How you doing, man?
Rolling hills.
Yeah. That Wyoming thing?
Yep.
Yeah.
I get great signal at the top and no signal at the bottom.
Right. Why'd you turn your truck in? Wait, what? Matt Nissen said, I just turned my truck in today. That's why I'm home. Is Jeff an Autobot or a Decepticon?
Yes.
Yes. Perfect answer, sir. Hey, Ida, is the 26th really the last one? This is definitely Decepticon. I don't know. Yeah, they just changed
so
the name.
If you're really...
Go ahead. Nope. He's on the downslope again. What's up, Life on 18 Wheels? So are we delivering on the 26th or we pick up that Sunday night, deliver Monday? Or Saturday night, the last night? Rosie brought me coffee. Thank you so much.
Careful, though. It might be a little bit on the hot side.
Gosh, it would be so cool to know what Jeff is saying. Right? I know, huh? I bet it's really deep and profound. Oh, okay. So Sunday's the last day. All right. Thank you. Oh my God. She warned me it was hot. Woo! Dang, Jeff just got killed by the rolling hills. They just took him out. No, at least his signal, Victor, did Jeff just say it doesn't work? What? Down there? Down where? What? I'm lost. Tim's truck is an Autobot. He has the logo on both sides of the hood. Just saying. Not real bad. There was a little bit yesterday, but real light. Up there, it was terrible when we left. Hey, Jeff's back. Let me bring him up. There he is. Question for Charlie. When OO brings a outside truck to Swift, are you allowed to use their shops for PM and minor maintenance? Yes. Well, that has been allowed in the past. I honestly couldn't say for sure right now. I would say yes. I had shops tell me that they wouldn't work on Chewy because it's too old and they're just going to send it to Freightliner anyhow. No joke. Had them told me that. They then got in trouble for that, but I'm just saying. Right. So Mike Henderson said, I remember when I watched that Super Ego thing, it reminded me of how Swift was when I started in 98. Thankfully, they changed in the early to mid, 2000s. Right? Yeah. Everybody had to change back then. It's funny that these people are starting this way now. Because, those lessons have been learned. Let's be real.
Well, they're literally doing things that have been adjudicated in the courts.
Right.
And told, don't do that.
Right? It's crazy. I'll let Narc's in the waiting room down there. I'm going to let him fix his camera first, and then I'll bring him up. Yeah, the whole state's on fire. Yeah, like it's that time of year. Oh, he's got the glasses on. There he is. I'm going to put you at the top since we don't have a picture of Jeff. Look at that.
Uh-oh. I might have issues too. Connection issues.
SpaghettiOs.
Oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to be translating. I'm just going to start making up words that I think you guys are going to say. My glasses are all screwed up, so I can't even read the chat. That's what's great. I'm like having to move up because my eyes are not happy today. What I'm getting at is discounted shop rates, not $250 an hour. As far as I know, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Are you saying, wait, let me go back. Yeah, if you're contracted to Swift, you get the Swift rates for shop work.
Right.
Oh, Narc's back. Hey, kind of.
I would say be careful though, because depending on the shop, is it worth paying the $250 rate so that you don't sit for 2 weeks waiting on them to do something?
Right.
You got to gauge that. If the idea is to put as much money in your pocket as possible, maybe you take a little hit on the maintenance so that you can get out same day instead of waiting forever. Now, not all Swift shops are that bad.
Right.
My experience was that most of them aren't, except for maybe certain times. Yeah. Right. It's not like The famous ones that are a good in and out is West Valley City, Phoenix, and Memphis. I had
Just
really
in and
good
out.
experiences in those. I had really good experiences with those particular shops.
Right.
Decatur, Georgia.
Mm-mm.
No. No, they told me 3 days to get tires there one time. And I'm like, they're right there. Yeah, but you're in line, bro. Okay. We only have one tire guy. Okay.
I think Tim Ransom just called you a tool narc. I'm not sure what he's actually saying there.
Damn.
I know, right? I was like, dang, look. And then narc gets disconnected. Let's bring Jenny in. I know she's got a better signal.
Hello.
Look at that. I just replaced narc with you right there. You
I
see
kicked
that?
him out. I kicked him out.
Yeah. He can't keep a signal. Just rolling through rolling hills in freaking Wyoming.
Right? Let's see if I get, let me get a little bit
Susan
higher.
Ransom called narc a tool, and he left.
Well, he is a tool.
Well, yeah.
He's always mean to me now. I don't know what I did to him, but he's been mean.
But he is one of our favorite tools. Come on, you got to be honest.
Used to be.
Yes, but can you get a narc for a low price of $99.99 a month?
Nope. He ain't worth it.
Whoa.
He's just a mechanic.
Wow. I thought he just did tires. Just tire changer.
It's full of hot air for sure.
That, yeah. I saw pictures of him with his lips on a valve stem. Just saying.
Uh-huh.
Not sure what that was about.
I heard he blows well.
Oh, that wasn't me. Dang it. Give me 1 second. My dog is annoying me. You got to go outside. Go on. Go.
Dang dogs anyway. My dog always does that to me. I love my doggo though. She's my ride or die. Hey everybody in the chat. How y'all doing tonight?
He was standing there just staring at me. It was weird.
So is Narc still on the road? Can you tell?
On the road again?
It looked like he was in a hotel, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I guess he doesn't know the Wi-Fi password apparently.
Yeah, right. Which is funny because usually he's good.
You know, I was supposed to be with him, but he stood me up last week. I told him, don't ask me to come again. That's 3 weeks in a row.
Oh my gosh.
I bet if you had a chance to spend some time with me on Contractor's Corner, Charlie, you would do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rosie would let you. Rosie can come too.
Oh, that's hot.
No,
those parties.
You know, I don't have I don't have the button right now. Knock it off.
Right.
Oh God, he's back.
Hey, welcome back.
There we go. The third time there's a charm. Is it working now?
Finally get the Wi-Fi going.
Did you get the Wi-Fi password?
It says it said it was connected, but it was fucking not doing nothing.
Oh,
I don't even see me.
Sort of like that mechanic. Doesn't do anything.
Yeah, right.
We were debating Narc that since you're apparently, according to several people, including your friend over there, a tool.
A tool.
Look, said tool.
Which
He's
is worth
disconnected
more.
again.
Yep.
That's like a magic word.
Magic
tool.
word.
He's gone, Jeff.
Poof.
Oh man.
Right? This is gonna be hilarious tonight.
Every time I say
so
tool,
good.
It's so like when you say Sage's. Yes, especially when you say Sage's name 3 times, he appears. So if you say tool, Narc disappears. It's kind of cool.
Hey now. There
you go.
Nope, didn't work. Dang it.
I was just wondering what was more worth the money, a Narc or a 10 millimeter snap-on.
10 millimeter snap-on.
Yeah.
It lasts longer for sure.
Oh.
Oh.
That's a different conversation. Again, it's that kind of party. Just saying. I'm starting to think that 60-minute expose is pretty close. Drivers confirming it happens. That's more or less stealing. So we actually had people in here last week, Sean. I don't know if you were here or not or watched it. We actually had people in here who allegedly work in Serbia for Super Ego as dispatchers and brokers.
See what I mean? Charlie, read the chat. See how he's mean to me? He's always mean to me now.
Good Lord.
I've always been so nice to that man.
Yeah.
But I've been called lots of things before, and nice was never one of them.
Maybe that's the problem, Jenny. Maybe he doesn't like nice.
Oh my
so
God.
He likes, what's the opposite of nice? Naughty? Oh, mean.
Hey now. Naughty's good. What? Stop. I'm going to get in trouble.
There are voices in my head.
I need to get Jenny control of the button somehow. I'm not sure how to do it, but it needs to happen before I get in trouble. Although, you know what? I think she would just like steer me down a path too. Because she's
If you think about it, Charlie, this whole line of thinking started with our coaching call today.
Right?
It's just been downhill ever since.
Yeah.
So, Charlie, talk to me about the super ego stuff. What's going on?
So, last week we touched all over this stuff, right? Thank you, Jenny, for getting us on track. How 60 Minutes did that big story on them last Sunday about, how these communion carriers, and they focused on super ego. I mean, they're not the only one. Let's be real. There are thousands of carriers out there in the U.S. that are doing the very same thing. It's just super ego is so big that they're the one everybody looks at right now. It's like, the way everybody looked at Swift or Schneider, and now we pick on Amazon instead because, right? But so super ego decided that they were gonna, refute all of this and say no, and they are steadfast on this. We are not a carrier. We are a leasing company. We lease equipment.
We're a 4PL, not a 3PL. We are a logistics management company.
And therefore, all these accidents that have been happening, we're not responsible for.
No, of course not. Never.
It's crazy. So now they officially announced, or didn't announce, but it is happening because in Serbia, they rebranded Super Ego to Sky something or other. I can't remember what it is. Dang it, I had it. Where does it go? Jeff, what is it?
Sky something. Like
Sky
Blue or...
Give me a second. I'll pull it up.
What was interesting, so the first I heard of it was from
Sky Blue?
Could be.
So I want to tell you about a similar story with another carrier. So some of you may be familiar with CDL 1000 from a couple years ago.
Yep.
Yeah, Andrew Sopko. Yeah. Anyways, Andrew had CDL 1000. We had probably $500,000 to $750,000 worth of debt in my last agency with them. Then they bought Next Trucking, and Next Trucking had a lot of capital when they bought them, and they took them in and then burn up all of their capital and max them out. Now they owe those carriers millions of dollars. Then they had HTS, which is now gone. And now they have batch freight. So, same kind of thing, just rebrand it, use the capital, buy another company. I don't understand why the FMCSA allows this to continue to happen. Everybody knows that CDL 1000 was owned by Andrew Sopko. Now, then Next Trucking was, then HTS was, and batch freight is. Like, why are we doing this? Why are we allowing this to continue?
Yeah, it's absolute insanity.
Yeah.
So
Blue Sky and Sky Freight. That's it.
Somebody said Sky Blue, Skynet like Terminator, Sky Freight.
Yeah.
Everybody give me a word.
What I'm finding fascinating about this, so the first I heard of it was literally 2 days after the episode on 60 Minutes aired on FreightWaves, that they had already rebranded all the buildings in Serbia by then.
Right. It's
okay. Hang on. Here we go.
Crazy.
I got it. I'm going to share my screen for a second. We're going to get some share going on. We're going to get some share going on here. We're going to do some reading together, folks. Hang on. I know. Here we go.
Wait, I lost my cursor. There it is.
Okay. This is from Landline. 60-minute segment on communion carriers put a spotlight on Super Ego Holding. While the segment highlighted many shady allegations, the class action lawsuit reveals exactly how truck drivers were defrauded by named motor carriers that appear separate but were actually connected through a massive web spun by Super Ego. Although truck drivers and trucking stakeholders have known about communion carriers for decades, 60 Minutes exposed the widespread problem to the general public. In response to the report, Super Ego insists that it is an equipment leasing company, not a motor carrier. Super Ego leases equipment equipment to more than 1,200 licensed carrier companies, Super Ego said in a statement. Those carriers employ their own drivers and dispatchers and maintain full authority over them. Super Ego does not hire, pay, supervise, or contract drivers or dispatchers who are not employees or independent contractors. When a carrier's driver arrives at Super Ego facility to pick up a truck bearing the Super Ego name or causes dangerous conditions on the road, that driver works for the carrier, not for Super Ego.
Right.
However, a class action lawsuit filed in August of 2022 explains how Super Ego had its tentacles around a number of motor carriers that operated interchangeably. These motor carriers were owned and controlled by Super Ego and its president, Alexander Mimic, according to the lawsuit. At the center of the lawsuit are Super Ego Truck Leasing Company, Rex Trucking, and 8 motor carriers: Floyd Inc., Jordan Holdings, DBA JHI, Haydair Daywood, Cordon, Rocket Expediting, Tri-Time Transport, Twin Carrier, Windy City National Trans. While Super Ego itself is not a motor carrier, the lawsuit alleges that it controlled the above companies and worked in tandem, sort of like R&R Express and all of its subsidiaries.
Right.
For truck drivers hauled freight for several of those companies, despite exclusivity contracts with just one in a scheme involving false load confirmation sheets and more than 1,000 owner operators. So, I mean, I don't know, because I mean, if your name has to be on the side of the truck, or you're not, whoever you're insured by should be whose name is on the side of the truck, because your name needs to match your insurance, right? Or otherwise, it's not going to be covered.
Needs to match the DOT number.
Right. Well, all of the signage needs to match that. So I'm just saying. So you got a Super Ego trailer and you've got Super Ego on the side of your truck, but you are Haydair Daywood. Whose insurance are we under?
Right.
If there's an accident, who's covering that? Because if Haydair Daywood is covering it, then Haydair Daywood needs to be on the side of the truck, and that needs to be on the paperwork.
It should say operated by Super Ego with the. No, it should say operated by what you said.
Haydair Daywood.
Whoever the carrier is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So it should say Haydair Daywood with their DOT numbers on it, and the paperwork should say Haydair Daywood. Otherwise, insurance won't cover it if they're in an accident, correct?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So how can it say Super Ego on the truck and the trailer, and they're operating as Haydair Daywood as independent? Come on, Charlie.
They're just leasing the equipment to them.
Then their name doesn't need to be on the side of the truck.
Well, look at Penske.
That's right.
Penske does that.
But even when you lease a Penske truck, aren't you supposed to put your own?
You do. You'll have both sets of numbers on there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Narc's trying again. It's not looking good though.
Gravy. Get some damn internet. Hashtag internet for the win.
Hey, Jenny, do me a favor. Put a link to that article in the chat.
Sure. There's
just
more.
Since we read it, we should probably link it back to the people.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's link it to the people, for the people, by the people.
Exactly. Yeah, and Extra Leases. It
says it failed to post to the Contractors Corner Consulting Group. Why? Because it has a link in it.
Did you do it in YouTube or in here?
I did it in here.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Huh.
Yeah, it hates me.
Try on the YouTube.
Things are changing again, Charlie, that we don't know about, apparently.
Right.
That's why I didn't link it to start with. I am.
Oh, no. Didn't work for Narc. It was a good try, though, bro. So the trailers say
what irritates you the most about Super Ego?
They're running under, is what Craig's saying.
Okay, yeah, have Narc do it. How come Narc?
I'll have to look because I don't.
Hang on, I got this. I can do this.
Yeah, I've never paid that much attention to their trucks, to be honest. I see Super Ego. And
now I'm curious to look at one.
And now
there's a picture of them in this article. There's a picture of them in this article. That's what made me say this.
Hang
on, I'm going to send this to Charlie via email.
Oh, sure. Like I can get an email. Look at you.
You know what I find irritating about this stuff, though?
I don't know. What? That Narc's here?
Love it.
Go ahead.
So the thing about the Super Ego thing is that So this is not a new business model.
Right.
And again, they're not the only ones doing it. But why do they have to rip people off?
Right.
Isn't there enough money to be made without ripping people off?
No, we're going broke. Damn it.
Yeah, that's what gets me. It's
true that, T-Bone.
It just,
there you go. There's the link to that story. But yeah, it's utter insanity.
So in that picture in this article, am I still sharing? Yeah, you'll see right here. So see,
my bad.
sorry, hang on, I'm trying to zoom in here. See, there's Super Ego on the truck, and I can't see what it says below it. I'm trying to see if it says operated as somebody else. Hang on, where's my little magnifier thingy? It says something Trans Inc. underneath of it. What's that? Whose DOT number is that? DOT number 2107840.
Hang on 1 second. I'll pull it up.
I think that's what it says.
What is it again?
2107840, I think is what it says. Let me get some real zoom going on here. 2107840.
2107840.
National Trans Inc.
Yep, that's what I got.
So it says Windy CTV. Windy CTV. That looks like the Super Ego logo, but it says Windy CTV.
Right.
Whatever that means. And then it says National Trans Inc. underneath with that US DOT number.
That particular DOT number,
let's see,
is active.
There's
21 million miles a year.
How many trucks though? 27.
Power units 5.
And how many million miles?
21 million.
Really?
On 5 trucks?
Yeah.
Man, they are batshit crazy driving, aren't they?
5 drivers, 5 trucks. That's what it says.
That's like 21.
What's the best you can do as a team?
So we consider about 95,000 miles. Is that a year per truck, typically?
125 is the old number.
Yeah. Okay. So 125. So if you got 5 trucks, even, and you do it by 125, I don't think that gets me. I'm not real good with my math, but let me just check this. 125 times 5 is 625,000.
Right.
21,068,753. I don't think that's right. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Says in the last 24 months, they've had a total of 261 inspections.
They're 42% out of service for the vehicle versus the national average of 23.4, and 10.7% out of service for driver versus the national average of 6.7.
Yeah.
Let's go look at their crashes.
3 injury, 8 tow, 11 total.
Excuse me, this was my party.
My bad.
No, you're okay. I'm just messing with you.
So if you drive for them, you get what, a new truck every couple months then because you totaled it out? What?
They only had crashes in December, January, and February, though, by the looks of it. And none of them are marked as not preventable.
How do you see that?
If you go to Safer and go to their SMS, you can see it all.
Oh.
Fancy that, huh? Hours of service compliance. Let's just check their inspection summary here. Inspections. Had one on 325, was clean. Had one on 323, violations. Driver failing to certify the record immediately after final required entry has been made for the corrected 24-hour period. Driver produces a false record of duty that concealed an hours of service violation. Let's see. One on 322. This is just in hours of service. This isn't even all their stuff. One on 322 for hours of service, ELD form and manner. One on 321 for no driver may make a false report in connection with duty status, driving more than 11 hours following 10 consecutive hours of off-duty time during the current 8 consecutive day period, and driving beyond the 14-hour after coming off duty following 10 consecutive hours off duty during an 8 consecutive day period, date and time. Okay, let's look at some vehicle maintenance. Let's see how bad they are there. I'd love to look at these people.
So Jenny, as a safety and compliance officer, what does a carrier with that kind of record have to do to keep their authority going? Because that seems like a lot.
So recently what I've seen is, I was working with a carrier that had a 97 safety score out of 100. And high score doesn't win here, by the way. You want a low score. And they just went through an audit because they had such a bad safety score. Most of their stuff isn't speeding and hours of service. It's not anything that is terrible. Like they only have one wreck in the last 5 years. And there were no deaths. I don't think there were any injuries either. But it was a tow away. But they're they just went through an audit, and where the DOT auditor said, hey, you need to meet me at your office, and they didn't update their office address. Their mailing address got updated, but their office address didn't get updated. So when they said, this is where you're going to meet us, he says, but that's not my office. My office is here. They just didn't update the correct address. So he went into Safer. I went on, updated his MCS 150 to correct his address, and his DOT officer said, no, you're going to meet us where your office was at. That's what it says, and I've got a sign of this, and you're going to be here. So he had to take, and he says, I want all the trucks here too.
Wow.
So he had to have 13 trucks show up in some random county in South Georgia that was 3 hours from his office. And he had to take all of his files, which most of his are electronically stored, so it wasn't near as bad. And they said, he did a really good job, and that was one of the most organized audits they had done, and he still was nearly put out of service. But, I don't really see a lot happening to these bad carriers. I look at him and, like Sage, when he's talking about from his brokerage side, he'll say, gee, I wouldn't lease them on. I wouldn't hire them at all. But at the same time, there are people that are doing it every day. Nobody's checking this stuff like they should be.
Right.
Let's look at this super ego. This is going to be vehicle maintenance. One on 322 with 5 violations and a total weight of 19, including, tires, all others, leaking or inflation less than 50% of maximum inflation pressure on tire not equipped with ATIS. Air brake ABS malfunction, lamp defective on trailers, manufactured after March 1st, 1998. Inoperative, missing, damaged wipers. This is on wheel and rim. Any wheel fasteners loose, missing, ineffective, or broken. And lighting clearance lamps inoperative. And one that was on 322. On 321, they had a severity weight of 20. Tires, all others leaking or inflation less than 50% of maximum inflation pressure on tire not equipped with ATIS, and TAOL TIS tires, all others leaking and inflation less than 50% of maximum inflation. So that they got 20 points on those two dings right there.
How do you run a tire half inflated?
They ran all of them that way.
That boggles my mind.
Then the hopping is all consistent. It doesn't feel like it's hopping anymore.
I think you just gave Charlie a stroke.
Right.
Right. And then one on 320. So we had one on 320, 321, 322. They're getting them every day. Truck, tractor, lower rear mud flaps, retro reflective sheeting, reflective material requirements for vehicles, violation of that. And on 317, brakes, defective brake equal to greater than 20% of the service brakes on the vehicle, and it was put out of service for that. A drum brake inoperative other than steering axle, and one on 316 for operating a CMV without a proof of periodic inspection, inoperable, required lamp. So in 1 week, 316, 317, 320, 321, and 322, they had 5 bad inspections, and 3 of them resulted in out of service.
What'd that? Oh.
Huh.
So.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, and they racked up a mess ton of points on those too. So I don't know how they get to stay in business like that. I don't know how they keep getting put on loads like that. Let's see, unsafe driving, huge spike in unsafe driving, went from 1.04 to 7.03 in January.
Mm-hmm.
They must have had a couple wrecks there or something. Oh, let's see what they had in January with a whole bunch of points. Lane restriction violation, failed to obey traffic control device, failed to use a seat belt, driver distracted, lane restriction violation, speeding 15 miles per hour over, failed to use a seat belt, speeding 6 to 10 miles per hour over, improper turns, improper lane change, lane restriction violation, unauthorized passengers on board, using a handheld mobile phone while operating a CMV. Those were all in January.
Huh.
February, improper lane change, failed to yield to the right of way of authorized emergency vehicles, speeding 11 to 14 hours over, failed to obey to a traffic control device, speeding 6 to 10, failed to obey traffic control, speeding 6 to 10, speeding 15 or more over, failed to use a seat belt. Those were all in February. So that's what we're looking like for a month for them.
Right.
Normal.
I
by the
didn't
way,
do
Mark
nothing,
Bollinger.
Charlie.
What?
I didn't do nothing.
Yeah, right. Mark Bollinger, I don't think you're correct, sir.
What do you say?
Christensen, according to Safer, has had in the last 24 months 13 total, 2 injury, 11 tow, no fatals. If you look at Christensen,
well, so 2925 hasn't gotten here yet, though. So
that's a broker.
But 2925 hasn't gotten here yet. He's predicting the future.
Okay, that's fair. Wow,
Explain what a 2925 is.
This is great. Perfect timing. Haven't had one in a long time. And now it's trying to kill me. This is fabulous.
Mike Henderson made a good point here. He says 5 drivers, 21 million. So they do in 1 year when it took me 28 years.
Right?
He said, man, he's really slacking.
For reals. Yeah, sorry. I got sidetracked by Mark earlier. I was like, wow, that really is something. But I think when Mark looked, he looked at Christensen's broker service, because that says 0 because, of course, they're a broker.
And, of course, brokers don't have any liability to that.
Right.
Well.
Wow, I got to take a shot. I'll be right back. This is awesome.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, Jenny.
Yeah.
Run our show.
Okay, I'll run the show. I don't know why I'm running.
There have been cases where specifically fatalities have made it back to the broker.
Right, I know that. I mean, I'm just saying because of all the litigation lately, and especially with them calling into account, should brokers have any liability to whether or not they're hiring a safe carrier? I mean, that's something I'd be asking as a shipper. Are you vetting these carriers for safety? I don't want people carrying my freight that are going to wind up, killing somebody on the way here.
Right.
So.
Yep.
I mean, and Christensen has a lot of trucks, so I can't imagine them having 0 crashes anyway.
Right. Just the law of averages comes into play there.
I mean, there's just even if it's not their fault, they could have been non-preventable, but there's still going to be a dumbass 4-wheeler that pulls out in front of you somewhere.
Right. Which happens every freaking day.
Yep. I think so too, Narc. Thanks. All brokers should give 100% transparency and be liable for all freight they are attached to.
Okay.
Fair enough. I agree. Let's see. Owner. So I was looking at this this statement that was put up by Jordan Holdings that shows what their driver made for the week for Super Ego. He hauled 3 loads, From Santa Teresa, New Mexico to the Colony, Texas, then Acre, Mississippi to Massachusetts, and then Fort Worth, Texas to Memphis, Tennessee. That's terrible. $4,048 is what he made. And then that was the total for those 4 loads. This was let's see when this was. This was back in 2022. It's an old statement. But he had a payment for $1,000 that came out that week, trailer rent for $225, cargo insurance for $250. So he lost $1,475 right off the top. Then all of his fuel surcharges that came out was another negative $27.87. So he brought home negative $214.39 that week. Sounds fair.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry.
Sorry.
This is good stuff right here. Look.
Yeah.
These things are gnarly.
What is it?
Sumatriptan. No. Yeah. Imitrex, basically.
Yeah. You got a headache?
Gnarly migraine.
I can tell your eyes are weepy.
So this is
gnarly.
the first time I've taken a shot in months.
Do the Imitrex shot top. I used to have the Imitrex tablets.
Yeah. The tablets took too long.
Yeah.
And if I don't take the shot, then I'm going to be down for the next 2 hours.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
You got a cold, dark, silent room.
Yeah. Mine are typically, 2 to 4 hours when they happen.
Mark is talking to you again about this 2025 business. Well, let me just go take a gander at what Charlie did wrong here.
Okay.
We'll see if Charlie was right or wrong.
Look, I'm staring at the safer site right now.
I know, but you probably look out your eyes crossed because you got a headache. So just let me just double check you.
That's always possible. Rosie's laughing.
I heard her.
I feel like I'm getting tag teamed here. Not the fun way. Yep.
Well, what's their MC or DOT while you got them pulled up there, so I don't have to look so hard.
Okay, I might be able to read it. Give me a second. 576568.
Okay, let me go see. 190 trucks. SMS.
And it says their mileage is the same as that other company.
What a quinky-dink, huh? No, they have 26 million. Stop.
Isn't that what I said the other one was?
No, it was 21.
21.
Million.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Yeah, and they have 190 trucks, and they only have 25 million. So.
Right.
Yeah. Let's see, because we do 125 times 195, or whatever it was. Yeah, that's 24 million. That's about right then. So Christensen's out of service on the vehicles 29.4 versus the national average of 23.4. Driver 1.5 versus the national average of 6.7. So they're doing pretty good. Let's see, crashes. Let's see. 7 crashes total, and none of them. Let's see. There was 2 in 2025, in 1014 and 1125. So, and those were towaways, yes, and no fatalities, no injuries. They've had no fatalities and no injuries accidents in almost two years. In 2024, they had 2 injury accidents, one 1220 and one 8.5. And other than that, they've had no injuries, no fatalities in their accidents. That's pretty good.
Huh.
Yeah, on the snapshot on Safer, it says 2 injuries, 11 tow, 13 total, last 24 months. Now, that doesn't mean they were at fault either.
Right. Well, I checked those out. Preventable, they all went away. Non-preventable demonstration program, there's still unmarked there. So they possibly could have prevented most of those, I believe, according to the letter of the law there.
That sucks. Yeah. Preventable is such a lousy term, though.
Right. Because what is your definition of preventable? Like,
right. Yeah, it's crazy because they say, oh, it was preventable because it was you're in a 55 mile an hour zone, you were doing 55 miles an hour, but it was dark. So you should have slowed down. So you could have prevented it if you had been driving 53, because you wouldn't have been at that spot at that time.
Or, if you hadn't stopped in Fort Bridger for a taco, then you wouldn't have been in that spot at that time.
Right.
Reviewed as non-preventable. There's 5 of them from 2024 that are reviewed non-preventable. But the rest of them still stood.
Wow. So I don't know, Mark.
So two in 2025, Mark. One in 11/25 and one on 10/14.
Maybe it was. Maybe were those 2 preventable or not preventable?
Those were, I think, not preventable. I mean, I think they were not preventable. I don't know what they were actually.
Nice.
Yeah. So we've seen guys lose their contracts at mega carriers, where law enforcement that's on the scene says not the driver's fault, but the company deems it preventable for whatever reason.
Right.
They lose their entire contract over it.
Yeah,
I mean, we've even seen a few, Charlie, that the law literally says in the paperwork, no, it was the 4-wheeler's fault, clearly. But Mr. Mega Carrier Safety Guy,
right,
for whatever reason, decides that he could have avoided that crash.
Yeah.
And for a while there, those reels of guys just plowing into 4-wheelers that are trying to merge on the highway.
Yeah,
those were hitting my feet a lot there for a while, and I almost made a game of it. If I could spot a way out, I could spot a way that crash could have been avoided by the driver. Now, the laws being what they are, was the 4-wheeler at fault? Yeah, because they failed to yield. But that doesn't mean you get to plow into them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think in all the time I spent looking at videos like that, and I can't even remember which one it was, but there was one where I was like, yeah, there's no way. Oh, I know what it was. Winnebago makes a left turn right in the front of a semi. Just right in front of him. Just bam. Right?
Did that look
cool? It did. It was really cool. But there's no way that truck driver could have anticipated that dude was going to be an idiot. It was on a state route.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Divided highway. There was a turning lane. The guy even came to a full stop and then went. It's almost like he didn't even see that big truck at all.
Wow.
So yeah,
maybe he was having ocular migraine.
Maybe,
yeah.
Could have happened.
Because I had that happen, and when that happens, I had a complete blind spot, but my brain filled in what it thought should be there.
Oh, right.
I hope your brain's creative.
Oh, it was an empty spot in front of me, literally, except for what should have been there, but not what was really there. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like it filled in all of the dots, which is basically how an NVIDIA video card works. Did you know that?
Are you saying that we live in a simulation, Charlie?
I think so. So, you know what? Let's do this break real early here. It's only 5 minutes early. And when I come back, I want us to talk about ways to check on these things, Jenny. I know you have some really good ways. I'm positive of it. Even though I haven't asked, watch this. You're going to love this part of the conversation. So we'll be right back. You guys hang tight. 50 seconds and we'll be right here. You're either running your business like an owner or like an employee. And if you're stuck in that employee mindset, you're leaving money on the table. Company drivers wait for direction. Business owners create opportunities. Company drivers chase miles and just drive. Business owners chase profits and know their numbers. Want to run a real business? Start tracking your numbers. Know your cost per mile and start saying no to bad loads. Drop I run a business in the comments if you're done thinking like an employee. If you want to take this mindset shift further, join the Road Warrior Entrepreneurs community at www.rwedrive.com, where we have profit boosting strategies, coaching calls, and real road warriors winning together. And Mark, just so you know, we're clear. I wasn't looking it up to pick on you. You know that, I hope. Just because that's a bold statement for a company that large. Just saying. I mean, they're not a mega, but you know what I mean. That's still 190 trucks, man. That's a pretty impressive statement. I still think that their performance with what they have is still pretty damn good with that many trucks, considering that other company we looked at had fairly similar stats.
Right.
So, Jenny looks like Jenny stepped away. So as soon as I see her back on the camera, I'll bring her back up. And then we'll get into the rest of this conversation. Mike Henderson, back in 08, let me pull it up on the screen. Back in 08, I had a ladder fall out of a pickup in front of me. I was on a bridge on I-440 in Little Rock. Swift called it preventable because I stopped at the truck stop 25 minutes earlier. See, that's exactly the crap we're talking about. That would be insanity to me. I don't think they still do it, but they used to do driver review boards, and they would bring
forget those guys, man.
But they would bring office people, safety people, drivers in, and they would watch these videos and such, or discuss these wrecks, whatever way that they could, and they would make a decision whether or not it was preventable or not. Majority rule. And I thought, man, that's crazy as hell. Because look, if you figure out who that guy is and he's a jerk, you're gonna be like, he's probably preventable. That's just a lot of people's human nature, right? So I don't know. Jen A.
What do you want to know, Charlie?
So ways to verify these people when you're getting these loads and such.
So these people, are you talking from a broker standpoint or from a carrier standpoint?
Yes.
So first of all, as a carrier, when you hire people, you should be getting as the owner of the carrier, you should be getting PSPs along with their MVRs, because those PSPs are basically your resume from carrier to carrier. There are violations that don't show up, that don't show up on their last MVR or whatever.
Right.
Maybe they've fallen off or whatever, but they always are on that PSP, and it will tell you if they've ruined somebody else's MC number before they left or whatever.
Right.
So it'd be helpful for carriers to make sure they get those PSPs before they hire people, to make sure that they're going to be legitimate carriers, legitimate drivers, concerned with your equipment. As a broker, you can do just like we did. Go to Safer, look them up. There's search carriers out there, which you can, Sage uses a subscription to that.
Right.
And there are, you get cab compliance program, whatever. That's what the underwriters use to see if you're a risk, insurability risk. Those are a few things right there you can do right off the top of my head. I could just should be doing. If you're working at a carrier in like the office setting or whatever, you need to be monitoring ELDs at all times for hours of service, looking for fatigued drivers, because obviously that's an easy one to help manage and prevent. And hours of service is actually a company problem. It's not just a driver problem, because of the ELDs that most people have now, the ability to see hours of service, you should be dispatching to hours of service and not just willy-nilly, here's your load. And a lot of dispatchers aren't dispatching to hours of service, and that's what's making drivers violate their hours of service. Bless you. We're both allergic to you, Charlie.
Right? Sorry, I'm not looking at this. I'm looking at another screen reading through stuff.
So, Jenny, what does PSP mean?
I had this the other day. I'm gonna have to go look this up now, because you put me on the spot with that, and of course my brain doesn't work like that.
Because most people have heard of a DVR. I don't know that DV whatever that thing.
MVR.
I think a lot MVR. Yeah. But I don't think people have heard of the other one, PSP.
You can request your record through the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. I think they're $10 for the PSP and $25 for an MVR, or vice versa.
Something like that.
Yeah. So PSP is an excellent indicator to predict the driver's behavior since it shows every roadside inspection and any accidents that they've been involved in recent history. And MVR lets you see the driver's history regarding citations, suspension, and disqualifications. Once you've gotten hired by somebody, they can't pull your PSP anymore. You have to pull it yourself. But if you do it as a part of a pre-employment screening, then you can.
I thought I read at one point you could actually pull one once a year, like your credit report.
That's not the way I understood it. I understood that anytime before you hire them, but after they get hired, they have to pull their own.
Well, I meant like, I could pull my own once a year.
Oh, you might
not
be
have
able
to
to
pay the fee for something. But I don't know. Again, I read that. It was a long time ago.
Let's see. I'm going to try to find this out for you. The PSP report pulls your 5-year crash and 3-year roadside inspection history. You can sign up to receive notifications through PSP monitoring every time your PSP record is updated. It says you will need your current driver's license number, a credit card, a valid email address for your full history. Each driver's license number you've held in the last 5 years, a way to view PDF documents. PSP record costs $10.
Okay. So some things to think about and look at when you're going to a carrier that might be questionable, let's say, right? If you go to them and they're like, yeah, we got 1,200 trucks. And when you pull them up on Safer and all you see is 2 trucks, red flag, yo. Just saying. If you're checking out their out of service, what's up, Life? If you're checking out their, if they've got a ton of out of service and inspections that are bad and all this kind of stuff, if it says the carrier is not authorized, that's bad.
If you start working for a company and all of your rate cons say check in as somebody else,
right?
That's really
a
bad.
red flag. Yeah.
What's going on, man?
I'm living a dream out here, I'm out here in Indiana in some really wet weather.
Yo.
Where are you at in Indiana?
Demont. So I'm south, north of Indianapolis, south of Gary.
South of Gary.
Yeah.
My mom lives in Fort Wayne. I live over here by Columbus right now. So.
Okay.
So I'm waving at you next door.
It's currently raining right now, so.
Yeah, it got a little cloudy over here, but it hasn't rained at all yet.
All right, so going back to the status check, if that carrier is showing not authorized or out of service and they're hiring you to pull freight, they are illegally pulling freight and you're gonna take the hit.
Also, you guys should be looking at those carrier safety scores before you hire on there, because if they have a high safety score, you have a much higher chance of getting pulled in.
Yep.
I mean, so that's what I'm working with a lot of these carriers in their safety and compliance is monitoring those hours of service, monitoring those violations, and helping them trend those numbers down. And by giving them every week, I tell them if you've got 20 trucks, I give them the top 4 or whatever of their fleet, and that carrier, those drivers have 3 weeks to get out of the top 4. If at the 4th week they're still on the top 4, they don't get dispatched that week. Mm-hmm. And we cut them off at the knees. I said, that's the only way to make them stop is to hit their pocket.
Right. Some other things to look for. Addresses for the carriers. Right? If all you can find is a P.O. box, I'm just saying.
Ask them where your quarterly driver meeting is held.
Right?
Your safety meeting. Because most reasonable companies, most legit companies have a quarterly or at least biannually have a driver safety meeting that you have to come to. So ask them where that's held at. If they say it's in Serbia, it's probably not a good idea.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm not going to
Chicago area too. It's probably not a good idea either.
What's that, dear?
It's on Zoom.
That's it.
Go ahead, Live.
I said if it has an address somewhere in Elk Park or Oak Park or anywhere in the Chicago area is probably a big red flag as well too.
Well, so there are hotbeds for fraud. The hotbeds are out near Fresno, LA area. That's one hotbed. Las Vegas is one. Overland Park, Kansas is a notorious spot that people don't even know about. But I can tell you a lot of the chameleon carrier brokers, the double brokered entities come out of Overland Park, Kansas. Sometimes there's some Indianapolis will heat up. Last year it was hot in Florida. I mean, just ask it. I can tell you where the hotbeds are currently.
Right.
But
So what I'm hearing is that Jenny's on the payroll in Chicago.
you got to be careful around Chicago. There's still there's still the mob there. The mob is still there. It's still the Russian mob. The Russian mob is still there. So you got to watch out a little bit. But Chi-Town isn't all bad.
It's funny enough that you mentioned Florida as well too, because I've been paying attention. There's a lot of them popping up in Orlando, and Super Ego even moved down to Jacksonville. Has a yard out there in Jacksonville as well too.
We have a guy that came on with Sage and I. He hauled a load for is it DGL out of Florida? DGL designated. I think that's who it was. Anyways, he played his video. It's actually on my phone the other day, where he actually called up. He was hauling produce from Florida, so of course not covered by the broker bond. Broker didn't. They got clean bills, and his agreed upon rate was like $3,000, and they only paid him $1,200. He was like, and he called him. He's like, "What's going on?" Oh, but they reviewed a claim on this. There's going to be a claim against us, so we had to hold this money out. Well, he called the receiver and was like, "Bruh, there's nothing on my paperwork for OS&D, and I sat around there for an hour after you unloaded me, plenty of time." And they were like, "There was nothing wrong with your load." And he got him on, recording, saying no. And that guy actually called the broker saying, "What's going on?" And
Wow.
that Andy guy, Andy Neely, I think is his name. I could look it up, make sure. But and I even did a post on LinkedIn about it. And because I called the owner, and the owner says, "Call this number, talk to them," and of course nobody would answer that number.
Right.
So I mean, and I called him out on saying, "Hey, what's going on with this?" Because they're claiming such a small amount, like $1,800, that it's not like enough to warrant taking them to court over. Like, if somebody's not going to fool with paying court costs and things like that. But at the same time, it adds up over the course of how many carriers and how many look. And this is a company reported doing $42 million a year, I believe. I mean, a broker doing $42 million a year.
That's crazy.
I got it right here on my thing. Where's it at?
I got more on my list. What they call the fresh paint syndrome. Recently filed MCS 150. Has a recent date, but the company says, "Oh, we've been in business for decades." It's because they probably are playing that shell game and just open a new company under a new number so they could keep doing things.
Dedicated Ground Logistics represents itself as a brokerage generating over $40 million in annual revenue. Despite this, it's proven extremely difficult to reach anyone through the company's main phone number. I don't understand these trucking companies. You can't call and get a hold of anybody. How are you doing business as a trucking company? And I call you and nobody answers your phone. Yeah. How are you getting freight?
Yeah.
When I recently contacted Gutulio Cerro, he referred me back to the main company number and disconnected the call. Currently investigating reports from multiple motor carriers regarding claims that were allegedly filed by Dedicated Ground Logistics against these carriers in several of these situations. The customers of DGL reportedly indicated there were no issues with the loads in question. So,
this is a good one too. Making sure the company name matches your Rate Con, your certificate of insurance, and the lease agreement.
And the cab card and
yeah.
I've always wondered how is it so easy for the companies to have these registrations and these cab cards when obviously those things do cost money to get. But they're switching them out so frequently and so fast. How hasn't the government caught on to like a potential fraud situation going on
I
there.
don't understand it either, because my friend fraud fighter, a friend of mine, Blake, she and I can sit there and go through the census records on the DOT website. You go to Department of Transportation website and go to the census records and see every trucking company and the history with them and who they're, all the way down to the no name given Singh who owns the company.
Hmm.
You know, and they're allowing them to do it. Just like I said, I don't know if you were on earlier when I was talking about CDL 1000, Next Trucking. Did you hear that part early in the show? Life?
No, I was driving.
You were slacking. I got it. Okay, no problem. So I
I
was
was
saying
fine.
the CDL 1000 was owned by Andrew Sobko, and he also then bought Next Trucking after that and maxed out their capital and still owes a lot of carriers for them. Then he bought HTS. HTS is gone and owes carriers millions. And
Right.
now they have batch freight. And I mean, obviously, and Andrew's the owner of every one of these companies. How could you not see this as a repetitive thing?
Yeah, somebody's in cahoots with somebody at least. I'm just
Right.
saying, yeah,
Somebody's greasing the wheels.
somebody's.
Somebody got free tickets to Epstein's Island. That's all I can say.
Well, it's
Oop.
like that whistleblower said on the 60 Minute show about Super Ego, that their MO really
Oop.
was get people to get an MC number and all that, get their trucks from Super Ego, and then basically strong arm them into running that business into the ground.
Yep.
I mean,
Right.
Super Ego gets their money regardless. These poor schmucks that buy into it, they end up losing everything.
And that's the same thing with
I
those
find it wild
SEO.
when I see when I was watching the 60 Minutes and the guy, he was exposing how they would pretty much have a game of who can steal the most money from every driver. And then I'll go on social media and I'll watch some of these super ego guys allegedly sit there and claim that they're making money, they're doing pretty good, everything is swell, going on over there. I'm like, if you could see somebody who claims that they work there showing proof that they literally are scamming you from the 9 to the 9, how are you still
Mm-hmm.
working there the day after?
So last week, I don't know if you saw it live. We actually had people in the chat last week.
Hmm.
A couple of people who actually drove for Super Ego and were happy with what they were doing. Said they're doing just fine. They know that there's some shadiness going on, and they're just out there getting it right. We also had a guy who said he actually works in the office in Serbia,
Hmm.
and that is absolutely everything that was basically being said was 100% true. Now we have
Yeah.
no way of verifying
And
any
people
of
will
this,
still go over there after,
but
and people will still go over there regardless.
yeah. I mean,
Well, so here's something for you though too. Guys that are killing it over there and are willing to play the games. If you look at the other side of this for a second, we're all super ego bad over here, but
right.
there are people netting $10,000 a month of super ego, verifiable.
Oh yeah.
Now, are they doing it
Legally, no.
legally? And here lies the situation that I'm not saying that we're all peaches and cream over here. Now I'm pretty sure we all bend the rules every now and again. Some of us multiple times a day, right? But we don't break them, right? The problem the problem that I have with that is usually the people who are breaking these rules are not typically the people that we want in this industry because they're representing something that is bad.
I
Right.
agree with that. Yep.
And
But
when they mess up and they do something bad, we all pay for it.
And they
like
just vanish.
like 70 miles an hour in the back of a school bus, bad. Yeah.
Right.
They and yeah, it's no consequence to them. Whatever little fine or little jail time, whatever, that they'll go about living their life, and then the rest of us who essentially turned this into a life. Cause let's be honest, you're in this thing more than 5 years. It's a lifestyle at this point, right?
Yep.
It 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 uproots everything and just it makes it worse. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Quick, going back to Mark's thing on the award. their award was for improving their basic stuff. So the Behavior Analytics Safety Improvement Program. That makes sense.
Yeah, you talk about these CSA scores and all that stuff. You know, I work at a carrier that has very lucrative military and pharmaceutical contracts, and so they're almost.
Oh, and he went over a hill.
You don't generally get those unless you have.
You're back.
Am I back? Okay. You know, those lucrative military contracts, you don't get those if you have a bunch of actions.
Right.
You're hauling small arms and explosives and stuff like that. So, you know, for us, like I just got a phone call today when I was in the middle of my pre-trip. So here's a crazy thing, Charlie. Panther won't call me if they see that, if they look at my ELD and I'm in sleeper mode. They won't call me.
Right.
I know that sounds crazy to a lot of Swifties. I'm just gonna put that out there. But so I'm in the middle of my pre-trip and I get this call, and apparently they're doing this new thing now that if you're traveling through certain states that they've determined have a higher than average roadside inspection rate, there's a little checklist questionnaire. Did you do your pre-trip? You know, how's your reflective tape? How's your tire wear? Stuff like that. Things that Panther has gotten violations on in the last 6 months. They're asking us to. They're actually calling us. Now Panther's a smaller carrier. I think they got less than 1,000 trucks. So it's more doable for them to do it than like say a Swift. I mean, you figure even the one safety guy that we had in Troutdale, I don't remember his name, but that was hundreds and hundreds of trucks, right? That he would have to call. But so they've nailed down what violations they see the most in an inspection, and they're calling us and asking, "Hey, did you check these things? Because this is what we see the guys are getting dinged on." I think it's great. I got the impression, kind of talking to the guy though, he really apologized for bothering me, because you know, the average truck driver, let's be real, don't tell me how to do my job,
right?
You know,
right.
I just thought it was a nice courtesy call. You know, it made me aware, and you know, I'll point out the DOT reflective tape, right? You know, you and I and Matt Nissen, we talked about this on the show several weeks ago.
Right.
That's a common thing that people get dinged for, but it's like with your ocular migraine, Charlie. You go around your trailer and you swear that everything's good on that tape, right?
Hey, Tom. Right.
But your eyes just lied to you.
Yeah. Another thing to think about here, a lease agreement doesn't magically make your carrier invisible, right? If the leasing company is the one dispatching you, paying you, and controlling your clock, they are the carrier in the eyes of the law, regardless of what's on the side of the truck.
Right. And you know, that's something I was going to bring up with the Super Ego thing. They literally control your ELD, like they've been caught manipulating it,
resetting it.
They dispatch you.
Yeah,
so it's their brokerage.
How is it that it's their own ELD, yet we always see every now and again, you know, we'll get that updated list of banned ELDs. How is theirs never been on it?
Right. Because they just keep switching ELDs.
Who was it that mentioned, I think it might have been Craig that mentioned last week, that it takes a couple of years for a full audit to be conducted by FMCSA on the ELDs. And so,
yeah, I can't remember who said it. But
so,
yeah.
you know, they probably just swap platforms.
Yeah, I think there's a conspiracy going on here. I can't prove it yet, but something's afoot.
Right. So Mike Henderson, when I started here, I had a fleet manager teach me how to do 3 logbooks. I was 24 years old, running 4,500 miles a week, only making 25 cents a mile. Back then, it was cheat or find a new job. See, that's why I left FFE in 04. Because because that's exactly how it was there. And I knew Swift was going to electronic logging, and that's why I ended up coming to Swift in '08. I just didn't want to work that hard. I didn't want to be shady. I didn't want to kill somebody because, I had to push too many hours, and, that day was a bad day and I got no sleep. Yeah, I mean, we all know when we had those days and we're like, man, I'm wired. I could ride 18 hours a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then you have those days where you struggle to get 6 down the road.
Yeah.
And at a company like that, you're not doing that. You're not going to stop and take a break because they are not having it.
Mm-hmm. Although I do miss the days, Charlie, before the 30-minute break.
Right.
Because there were days, not often, but there were days where I would run my entire 11 hours straight.
Right.
Not stop. That was before the diabetes, and I had to stop every 2 hours to pee. But,
So my very last run for FFE, I had spent a week in New Jersey, right? Yeah. They kept telling me, oh, your load's coming. We're going to have your load for you here pretty soon. Go run these locals. So I ran locals, right? And then they finally give me the load that's taking me down to Florida. And they say, oh, by the way, really tight schedule on this thing. If you can't make it, we're probably going to swap you out in North Carolina, and you'll swap with a guy for his California load. Mind you, I'd been out 9 weeks at the time, was only supposed to be out 3. Mm-hmm. I was pissed. I was not happy. And I said, well, if I can make it there, you know what I'm saying? And the guy's like, yep, I got you, man. He's like, but if it looks like you're going to be late, we're going to take that load off you. I'm like, look, man, I'm just saying I can make it there from Jersey, Florida, Jacksonville, from Jersey. And it had to deliver the next day by noon or something like that. Right.
Holy crap.
Yeah. And they said if I didn't make, in fact, it was earlier than that. It was in the morning. So I ran from Jersey. Oh, and when I went to go find my trailer in their yard, the yard guy says, yeah, man, that trailer's been sitting here for a week.
Wow. That's crazy.
Right. So then I ran it from Jersey down to the Carolina border. I literally parked on an on-ramp at the Flying J at that first, the very first spot coming into North Carolina. Took a nap for an hour or two. Called again. Back then you had to call. You were only allowed, I think it was 50 gallons a day in fuel or something like that.
Whoa.
Yeah. Or whatever the number was. But, and you were only allowed, one fuel stop a day because, if you were running more than that, you clearly are running illegal logs. That's the way they looked at it.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. And so I had to call and ask for another fuel option. They're like, but you already had one. I'm like, yep, need another one. I'm down in South Carolina now. They're like, okay. Gave me the fuel stop. I slept for 2 hours at the border up there, drove to South Carolina, got more fuel, made it in Jacksonville, was at this place. Now it's all very well grown up around there. But back then, the spot I was at was so far out in the swamp. It was crazy. It was when they were first starting to develop this crazy industrial area out there. And there was literally nowhere else to go but this shipper, right? So I get there, I'm on time, I check in, and after I'm checked in and being unloaded, or I send my empty call, then I get a message saying, hey, by the way, you can't move your truck. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? And they call me, he's like, yeah, you violated your logs. You're going to need to stay there for 24 hours. I'm like, bro, it's a parking lot in craziness. If you move your truck, we'll call the cops and tell them that you're illegal, blah, 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 blah. Holy crap. I was pissed. Went home for my 9 days. They started calling me on day 2. Hey, can you come back to work yet? I'm like, no. 1 week, 1 day per week. That's what I get. I'm taking my 9 days. And finally, I think it was around day 6 or 7 or something like that, or 5. I finally just gave in and got in the truck, loaded up, was getting ready to go back to work, started to pull out of the driveway and thought, oh, hell no. Right? Hit my big air horn. Rosie came back out. I started throwing stuff out the door. I said, come meet me in Winter Haven, pick me up at the yard. I'm going to turn this damn thing in. I get there. They're like, hey, no, man, don't quit, bro. Here, we'll give you a big bump in pay and here's a brand new shiny Volvo. I'm like, are you going to tell me you won't lie to me again? He's like, nope. I'm like, I'm out. Peace. And left.
I won't lie to you again.
Right. I thought that was a simple question to answer. Right.
I think that was probably the only time he's ever been honest with you.
Right. Exactly.
And I'll put up with a lot of stuff, but you lie to me and we're done. You know, that's just that's a deal killer for me.
Right.
I could take a little white lie, but a bold face one is crazy work, man. I'm out.
Right.
Three
Yeah,
things,
back in the
three,
90s,
thing, three things
hindsight, they were
Mama
nuts.
hates: liars, cheaters, and thieves. I'm just saying.
Right. But yeah, so getting back to all this stuff, check those rate cons, see that who it's actually from. If it says it's one thing and they tell you one thing and it says something different, you guys, you got to take some responsibility for this stuff. Do some due diligence. Don't just sign on to any carrier that you think, oh, well, I got a bad record, so I'm going to hire on one. Well, whatever. I mean, you're going to get what you get, right?
Right.
Put me up on the screen on my share screen here. Look at this. Driver swapping plates. I'm sure he just got his new plates in the mail.
Right.
Sure. Just saying.
Yeah, we see a lot of that, and we did talk about that briefly last week. There are some legitimate people that are out there doing what's the damn term that Swift has us do for outside carriers? Trip leasing. Right. And by law, we're required to cover up, the Swift logo, their DOT numbers, all that, put on a new one over it to cover it up because we're now pulling for that other carrier legitimately. So there is some of that out there. So not everybody you see is shady, but because of the shady ones, now we question all of them. Right. Which is what the world does to us in the industry.
So,
they hear about super ego and now we're all super ego.
Hey, one
so the
rotten
crazy
banana
thing is
spoils the
that
whole bunch.
yeah. So the crazy one, Charlie, if you think about it, if you think back to the 60 Minutes expose,
right,
that undercover video, which is really just a
Right.
dude in his truck with his cell phone, whatever, of that guy swapping DOT numbers.
right,
Think of how they had to plan that ahead. If you watch what he was doing,
right,
he had probably 3 sets of stickers stacked on top of each other.
right,
And oh, that was no good anymore, so let's rip that one off. And right under it, it's not like he did the more legitimate ones you see are literally, I know it sounds weird, guys, but the more legitimate ones are the guys with a piece of paper with the MC number
Right.
and a DOT number on it.
yeah.
Those are the
written
guys
with
that
a
are
black
trip leasing.
Sharpie.
Yeah, those are the guys that are actually legitimately trip leasing. I know it seems weird, but I trust those guys more than the guys with the with the professional looking signage.
So Ida makes a good point here. Only thing that she didn't like about the ELDs is the new drivers struggle to understand their hours of service and how to use their clock effectively. And that is 100% true because they are not teaching logging like they used to. Yeah. They are only giving you enough information so that if you had to fill out a paper log, you know enough to start filling it out and call someone to tell you how to do the rest.
Look, my husband, when he started driving 28, 30 years ago, they used to run 2 sets of logs, the legit logs and then the logs you gave to the DOT. And then he went to hauling asphalt where we hauled local for 20 years. Then when he went back out on the road and they had ELDs, he didn't know what to do with them. He's not computer savvy as I am. So, and he struggled with red means stop and green means go.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Figure that out. Yeah.
When I started driving, about 9 years ago, it was pretty simple. They just told us log it as you do it. If you're driving, it's on duty driving. If you're stopped, it's if you're fueling, it's on duty fuel. If you're in the sleeper berth, you're in the sleeper berth. Just log it as you do it. So I don't see it as well. I guess because not knocking on anything, but I'm from a younger generation. I'm a little bit more computer savvy, so I can see how an older person would struggle with it.
Absolutely.
But I mean, we all have computers in our faces all day. We have tablets. I can't buy the excuse with these younger generations struggling with
And
these
yet it's
ELDs.
true though,
It's
man. That's
just
the
Yep.
it's
problem.
so easy.
Yep. But the
And
old
Yeah,
yet
but they
school
they
don't.
can't
truckers.
figure it out.
The problem is that they don't understand the rule. That's the problem.
Right.
Hmm.
They
Again,
can follow an ELD. You know, ELD will tell you, yes, you can drive, or no, you cannot. But they don't understand why that is.
Right.
right, and they don't understand sleeper berth. They don't understand, how to manage that better.
Oh
And
man.
it goes back to the you don't know what you don't know. And you're
Right.
absolutely right, Life. People that are my generation and younger, because I was like one of the first classes in my high school that had computer classes. And
Hmm.
we were learning on a Commodore 64. Uh,
Commodore. Sheesh.
That's not how old I am, right? Um, but I graduated high school in '95, and so there are people out there in the trucking industry that are old enough to be my kids now
I
and
was
driving
barely
trucks,
speaking. I was barely speaking in '95.
right? And so this goes back to the
When I
whole thing
retired out of the army.
where I say that you know behind this week of or 2-week school that you go to or a month-long school, however long it takes you to go through the school now, and they give you that piece of plastic that says you can drive a truck.
Right.
They need to have a week of business training behind that so that you understand what does it mean to be a company driver, an owner operator, a lease on driver. What's the differences? What's the pros? What's the cons? How do you use ELDs? How do you do? Why does it say you can't drive? What are the 3 clocks? You got a 10-hour clock, a 14-hour clock, and a 24-hour clock. What are those clocks for?
Right.
Because my day has
Mhm.
24 hours in it every day.
Well, it's like how I used to teach my students once I became an owner operator. So I would tell them, you will drive my truck at 60 miles an hour. So let me catch you going 61.
Right.
Now, this, I think Swift was governed at like 62, 64 at the time on the company trucks.
Right.
I know for a while they were all the way down to like 60, and it was before they had the fuel bonuses. So I would tell them, I said, you drive my truck the way I tell you to because I'm paying for the fuel.
Right.
When you get in that company truck, I'll tell you what, brother, pedal to the metal.
That's what I taught them. Drive
That's
that
one of the-
company truck with your foot on the floor and don't stop. That's how you're
Yep.
making money as a company driver.
Right now, you want to make the transition to owner operator. You've got expenses you got to think about, so it's a little different.
Right.
And that's what I would teach them.
So when he was not hauling over the road for those 20 years and he was hauling asphalt and he was home every night, we didn't have to do logs like that. So then when he goes back out to do them, it's like he has to relearn logging all over again. Yes, he knew how to do a paper log from 30 years ago, but to do it on an ELD with somebody that is not computer literate,
Right.
I mean, he can barely use his phone half the time. I got to tell him, go to this screen.
Okay. This is how you program the VCR. Just do it. I don't know.
VCR. What is that?
See? Oh my God. You know what? You're out of here. You're out of here.
I
My
find
bad.
it funny when I see those comments on Facebook, like, what was the first CD you bought?
Right.
When
Look,
you were a teenager. I'm like, CDs as a teenager?
My first cassette tape was Vanilla Ice, and I wore that joker out. Don't laugh, Rosie. I heard you.
Good God. That was a good one, right?
All right, stop, collaborate, and listen.
My first cassette tape, believe it or not, I did have a cassette tape player, right? Was the Christmas, it was the Christmas cassette tape with all the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer songs and all that stuff
Aw.
on it. That's what my mom got me for my birthday / Christmas, and I was like, that's pretty cool. And I did have a CD player as well too. I did have a CD player as well too.
He's like,
so,
don't get it twisted, yo.
Hey, Charlie, we're so old that I remember when the first MP3 players came out, and you could put a whole album on that thing.
Right. Yeah. I just said her first cassette was Guns N' Roses. That's funny. I couldn't even tell you. Mine was probably AC/DC or something like that. Like legitimately.
Mine was Pink Floyd, The Wall.
The wall. Nice. Just another brick.
Going back to the chat here. Hey DJ, what's going on, buddy? Yeah, he said loose leaf logs were his friend back when he started. I get that, but I don't know. See, I started worrying about putting myself in the place where, I had kids that were out there, right? And family members and things like that. And how would I feel if I killed somebody else's family?
Right.
Right? Over something that I did that was my negligent, knowingly doing that thing. I got to tell you, I'd probably leave the planet myself shortly thereafter because I don't think I could live with that.
Or if you don't have a conscience, how about going upstate for 15 to life?
Right?
That
would suck. So, and that's when it really started pushing in my brain that I don't want to give anybody the ability to manipulate me that way. Now, that's not to say I didn't do some fudging here and there like everybody else does, right?
Everybody fudges every now and
well,
again.
we've talked about this before. Back in the days of paper, you and I both used the hell out of that 7-minute rule.
Oh, that 7-minute rule was the bomb.
But deliberately going out there and driving 1,800 miles a night or a day or whatever, that's just beyond fudging rules at that point.
Oh yeah.
That's just dangerous driving. And
you also have to think about it though. Back in the day, I mean, it was actually cheaper to get pulled into a California scale house and not have a logbook at all versus having a logbook that had violations in it.
Yep.
It was a $50 fine. You pay it on site and you go on down the road and they hand you a logbook. Just saying.
Yep.
So I mean, that was back in the day, the outlaw, the true outlaws, the pioneers, the guys that were really out there getting it, and it just is what it is. But now there's so many more people on the road. There's so many, it's just so much more liability. Everybody wants to sue everybody and all that nonsense. And you
live
just
in a
can't
happy
do that.
country. Yeah.
Oh God,
crazy.
Tom, 8-track player. So I did not have one. My mother did.
My dad used to listen to 8-tracks in the pickup truck. We had
right.
Ronnie Millsap.
Yeah.
Ronnie Millsap, and Oak Ridge Boys.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember playing those 8-tracks in the truck with my dad.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so that was the answer to the original question a few minutes ago. Why do people still run with companies like Super Ego? It's that $10,000 nut per week. I've talked to a few guys over the past probably month or so.
Right.
And that's exactly what they say, that they just do whatever it takes to make that money. And
I think
exactly.
My response to them is, well, you're a terrible person.
I think what it boils down to for a lot of them is desperation. Because if you can't get hired, I mean, shoot, if Welfare Express denies your application at this point, I mean, what else are you gonna do, right? That's pretty much as low as it gets, and then here you go trucking your way all over to Chicago because there's not, and it's very, and I feel like these companies, these companies like Super Ego and stuff like that, it's a predatory type thing. Everybody thinks they're going over there because they know how to game the system and they know how to make it work for them, and nobody's gonna run them. And you turn around and find out they got you by the balls, no pun intended. You got to do the
one of the more interesting back and forths that I had it with someone in the comments last week that was a Super Ego guy and he confirmed this, that they will get away with what you let them get away with.
Right.
He was saying that he doesn't let them get away with that crap. He just tells them no. And after a while, they just stop asking and you run.
Right.
Carriers need to do a better job of managing their drivers' hours of service and their logging. And because those are easy tickets to avoid.
Oh, absolutely.
Easy violations to avoid. And if you're not watching your ELDs and noticing who's disconnecting from their terminals or whatever, then you don't know what's going on and you're getting tickets probably.
Right.
Violations. It's happening out there. And I didn't really realize to what capacity or to what extent until I started doing the safety and compliance stuff and started looking at people's logs and how hard it was to get them to stay logged. Like all the trucks were logged into the ELDs, but the drivers weren't assigned to their units.
It's easy to blame. It's easy to place the blame on the driver and say we don't know.
Hey,
We didn't tell
cutie.
him to do that. That's not our problem. We never told him to do this. We never told him to do that. It's just easier to blame the driver for it.
Right.
But hours of service is actually a company problem. It's not just a driver problem. It is a company problem because it's very easy to watch that, monitor that, and control that. I was working with a company recently, and we took PC off of their ELD. Man, these drivers were calling everyone. I need PC to get to this
Right.
to get to this stop in 2 hours, and
Yeah.
so that I get my 70-hour clock back. Well, not my problem, bruh.
Exactly.
I would cry if I didn't have PC anymore. And funny enough, Landstar is getting very strict over here about how you're managing and using your PC.
Yep.
I would
Well-
cry if I didn't have split sleeper berth, PC, and yard move. I don't know what I would do for. I don't.
So
Obviously,
get
I don't.
this.
I don't use them. I don't use them like in an illegal fashion or whatever.
Right.
But like I'm at the truck stop for the weekend doing a 34. I need to go to the store. I need to drive to the store. I need to use that PC. I don't.
Yeah.
So Jeff, go ahead and tell him about your deal.
Yeah, I have no PC, no yard move, but I do have split sleeper berth.
Get out of here.
And a lot of people don't use PC correctly. They use it incorrectly all the time.
I have to say that I'm an oddball at this carrier. Panther Premium Logistics is set up as a team carrier.
Right.
So they would run more like Charley and Rosie does. Charley, you don't log off duty at all during your workday.
Now, once I
Yes,
start
thank
my
you,
day,
sir.
unless I'm legitimately off.
So for those of us that are solo drivers, so that saves time. That's our wallet, man.
Yep.
And that's one of the things I struggled with over here is the inability to stop that clock.
So Mike Henderson was reinforcing what I said. He said his trainer told him if you get stopped by DOT, just tell him you left your logbook at the truck stop. He said it'll be a smaller ticket. And it legitimately was. And that was the thing, because you take your logbook in with you, sit at the counter, right? So you could be on the phone at the table, right? The little phone on the wall there when we had those. And you're like, okay, I got enough hours to do that. Oh, I better get a new logbook while I'm in here, because this one's out of hours. I need new paper, and I got new hours. But that's how it was. But to do that kind of stuff now, oh my God, I just can't imagine it.
Well, and Jenny, to your point of carriers not properly monitoring hours of service, we know a person at a carrier that would PC from, say, Birmingham to Florida.
Right.
That's crossing state lines.
How long did it take that guy to get caught, Charlie?
Not very long, but long enough. Too long, really.
But it was too long.
Yeah.
So
it's not illegal if you don't get caught.
Back then, when they used to hand out these fines, did they have them like? What were these things like recorded and stuff like that? Like how we have it today?
No, not really.
Just pay a little 50
They used to have that. They used to have that sort of electronic logging method, Charlie. What was it called? That punch card wheel thing.
Yeah,
That was like back in the early '80s when hours of service really first started.
Right. Yeah, I don't even remember what that was called. So Timothy Ransom said he was talking about his grandpa when he was a little kid riding with his grandpa. They didn't have a logbook then, and that he used to carry a big coffee can full of quarters, dimes, and pickles for tolls.
Yep. Throw those pickles in. You'll get right through.
Look, I'm not correcting it. I know you corrected it, Tim, but I'm leaving it at pickles because that is what it says, and I like it.
I like it too. I read that too.
I want to pay tolls with pickles.
Yeah.
Good Lord. My bad,
Especially
bro.
dill pickles.
Right?
The bread and butter ones I'm keeping.
Stinky in a couple of days.
Yeah, I do not miss having to pay cash for tolls at all.
Yeah. I remember my first day on the truck at FFE. Dude handed me a roll of quarters. Said, "Don't hit the machine. Drive down this road. Wake me up when you get to the end of the toll road. Throw in however many quarters you need to for each toll, and then wake me up when you're done.
So back
Nice.
to the super ego thing. I'm
Yes.
looking at some things online here. I'm reading some of the stuff in Reddit. People are trying to compare Amazon and Walmart to super ego, and the comment was
Walmart?
Walmart and Amazon are different than super ego. You are completely wrong in the same category. Also, using third party carriers means third party carriers have their own MC numbers. When owner operated trucks haul freight for super ego, they haul it under super ego's MC number. That's
Right.
the reason for the 60-minute report. So just in case there's any confusion, I was trying to throw that out there.
Yeah. How can they say they're not a
Well,
carrier
Amazon
when
is a whole
people are
headache by
using their
itself.
MC number?
Yeah, that's exactly it. They have carrier authority.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So let's say all 1,200 trucks have their own LLC, right? That doesn't mean they have their own authority.
Yeah, I've got an
Right.
LLC. I've never had my own authority.
I have an
I don't have my
LLC.
authority.
I don't have authority.
The way they're circumvent, the way they're claiming they're circumvent all of this is because they have all these other companies umbrella. They claim that it's a corporation. Or they have these umbrella of companies like Cordum and all the other names. There's so many names I keep forgetting, but allegedly I heard they're changing their name again. Well, Super Ego itself is finally changing its name to Sky
Oh, they
something.
rebranded the buildings in Serbia already. They're apparently they're Sky Blue and
Sky Blue.
Sky something.
Because it was
and
interesting.
Blue, and Sky Freight.
Yeah, cause what was interesting is I was on social media just scrolling on, doom scrolling. And I saw there were Sky Blue was advertising, step deck rentals and stuff like that. Cause I've been looking into at least getting my own trailer and whatnot. And I didn't even put two to two together until somebody said, "Oh, it's just Super Ego right there." Just they're just changing their names.
Yep.
But that big old sign on the back of your trailer, how you can we still know
Right?
it's you. We still know it's you, so you know. Eh. Anyways, man, I appreciate y'all letting me come up here, man. I'm
Oh,
about to
you know
dip
it's
out.
good, man. What's your channel?
Life on 18 wheels, all one word spelled just the same way it is right there on the
See,
bottom
look.
of the blue screen. There we
Step
go.
decking is fun, he says. I don't know. I
It's
think it would have been a couple
F-U,
years back for me.
I still got a couple more years in this thing before I start complaining about my knees. You guys have a good night.
All right, brother. Be careful. Appreciate you.
No problem.
So apparently, Steve Gibbon, 1937 and 1938, the ICC enforced the first hours of service rules requiring drivers to log their time. These early rules allowed 10 hours of driving time and 8 hours off duty. The comic book era paper logs were the only option for decades, but were often referred to as comic books because they were notoriously easy to falsify or doctor to hide driving beyond legal limits. 1988, the first automatic onboard recording device, AOBRD, appeared as an early electronic alternative to paper, though they were not yet mandatory. 2015 to 2017, the FMCSA announced the ELD mandate in December of 2015, which required most interstate commercial drivers to switch from paper logs to electronic logging devices by December 18, 2017. 2019, the transition to electronic logs was fully completed by December 16, 2019, when the grandfather period for older AOBRD devices ended, requiring everyone to use a compliant ELD. But according to this, and I'm using an AI for this, 1937 is when they started making logbooks mandatory.
Mm-hmm. So I'm reading again more things on the internet here. Overdrive hasn't found any US DOT number under the name Super Ego with that many trucks. Super Ego, in fact, denied the 60 Minutes it operated as a motor carrier, calling itself a leasing company, as you've already said.
Right.
But it says Overdrive reported in depth on a suit on another big Chicago area fleet alleged to use a series of ELDs to cheat on hours of service rules. So I went to that little article, and it says that Extra Mile International, a Serbian-American 207 truck Overland Park, Illinois motor carrier, stands accused of running massive hours of service cheating scheme through a series of electronic logging devices. The carrier faces contempt hearing in April. Fleet has failed to produce records responding to the allegations on how it used now revoked ELDs to cheat hours of service compliance. Records from the Circuit Court of Cook County in Illinois shows. So then it goes on to talk about how this company maintains encrypted Telegram and WhatsApp channels for drivers to communicate on. This I need full 70 hours in drive time. How many drive time do you need, sir? 8 hours. Let me check. And 70 hours on cycle.
Right.
And then up here, there's do you need us to complete your 70? No, not unless I do a reset and snapshot for a log tampering. Okay. Are you seriously telling me you would just reset my 70? What you're telling me is unlawful. I will be reporting this to the FMCSA. So this is being called out by a driver saying, not unless I do a reset and a snapshot for log tampering. But they have this person's name on Telegram is log365B.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on with EMI there, but I was told Telegram would be used for conversations regarding hours of service, 34-hour break, safety, and compliance. They also told me I could reset my 70 hours over Telegram without having to take my 34-hour reset. I was informed if I had questions pertaining to hours of service, reach out via Telegram. One driver complained about the legality of quote-unquote fixing logbooks. All drivers state they were fired and removed from Telegram group chat at some point between 2024 and 2025. The allegations and screenshots implicate ELD providers Phoenix ELD and Log365, both with common ownership. Phoenix was recently removed from FMCSA's registered devices list for not meeting ELD specifications. Log365 never even self-certified as an ELD provider. On May 29, 2025, the court ordered EMI and Phoenix to preserve all hours of service records and discussions of them on Telegram. EMI's legal counsel responded cannot preserve those records because the use of Phoenix ELD's platform is governed by a user license agreement in which Phoenix ELD is the sole owner and controller, including Telegram-based messaging features which may exist within the application.
Wow.
In August, before whatever. I can't even, it's a Russian name. I can't read it. Sorry. Deposition. EMI's counsel responded to a special interrogation that no employees or individuals associated with EMI have any knowledge of any deletion of Telegram communications as they are outsourced to Expedite Logistics, a Serbia-based entity.
Right.
But at the deposition weeks later, he said he's the sole owner of Expedited Logistics after clarifying that his team misspelled it as Expedite Logistics previously. Right. I don't work at the Expedited Logistics. I'm just listed as the owner. I have no involvement other than just having ownership of it.
Good Lord, right?
He further claimed to make no money off of it and said it's just a corporation that we can, use to be able to outsource dispatch service in Serbia. He also stated he didn't know when EMI stopped using Phoenix and that he couldn't recall if Log365 had ever even charged the fleet any money. At one point, he thought 365 was a call center or dispatcher for Phoenix. A lawyer representing the drivers asked this guy the question, have any of the representatives of Log365 ever had access to modify or potentially falsify any ELD information that was maintained by Phoenix ELD LLC for EMI? Honestly, I don't know. The lawyer's next question, can you deny whether or not Log365 had access to EMI driver logs to modify or potentially falsify them that they were maintained by Phoenix? I'm not sure, no. Log365 ever charged EMI any amount of money for services to EMI? Not that I recall. Okay, so were you surprised you were getting free services from Log365? Like I said, I don't recall being charged or not being charged. I don't know how to answer the question. Honestly, would be great.
Okay, Ollie.
Right.
I do not recall.
A legal team represented the drivers of Phoenix was linked to 9 other ELDs that all share the same principal place of business in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and were organized by the same person. Some of the devices had their certifications revoked by FMCSA while others remain active. Overdrive contacted Phoenix ELD for comment on the story, did not hear back in time for publication. By the way, hats off to Alex Locking for a great article here. A representative reached at EMI's safety department named Dan Mikovic and said that drivers are not always happy when they're leaving, and they tell all kinds of stories and assumptions in an attempt to threaten the fleet with no actual proof. Ask about the use of Phoenix ELD, the resulting legal saga, and evidence delivered in declarations under oath. Mikovic said he didn't work there at the time and doesn't know anything about it. I don't know, George.
That's crazy.
So there's another one, just like the same thing, and I was right out of Overland Park, like in Chicago, like Life was saying there.
Tied
So
to Serbia.
yeah, I had.
Charlie, did you see some of the comments on last week's video after it aired? So some of the comments were from Serbia, and they were talking about how the corruption over in Serbia.
Right.
Basically, what Super Ego is doing is not only commonplace, but it's tied to like how the government operates.
Right.
And yeah, there were some interesting comments on that. Again, we can't confirm that these people are even real and not bots, but you know, it was interesting.
Yeah, that one comment you're talking about says everything that has a connection with Serbian corrupted government is rotten eggs. Serbian government officials are drowning in the highest level of corruption ever recorded in Serbian history. They're selling Serbian land and people in Kosovo for money and power and will not set up a scam company in the USA.
Yep.
So, in response to that article that Alex wrote, there was comments down here, and somebody said, "I've been driving since the early '80s. There's been companies like Super Ego ripping off drivers since then."
Right.
And then somebody else says, "This reporting concerning Super Ego and ELD related allegations is consistent with serious issues I personally experienced while operating under Super Ego Holding /AM Hotshots LLC in a leased own arrangement involving my semi-truck and trailer. When I requested ELD records relevant to my defense after being placed out of service and cited in Ohio, I was ignored and denied meaningful access to those records. I also dispute claims that I was paid money that I didn't actually receive. I have not yet secured counsel, but the amounts claimed as paid remain in dispute. In February 2025, during a scheduled delivery to UNIS in Pooler, Georgia, I was denied entry, rescheduled, and denied again the following morning. The events that followed resulted in me losing control of my truck, trailer, and access to important personal and business property. The property I was denied access to included cash, electronics, legal documents, tools, clothing, my embosser for something, whatever. My experience raises serious concerns regarding access to driver's records, disputed compensation, control of property, and the overall treatment of drivers. These issues deserve scrutiny." Chief Executive Officer of Ajit Kaur Singh King, Queen Kapoor Ajit Kaur Singh Kang.
Right. Craziness. So the bottom line to all of this, right, is this week has basically proven what the 60-minute story had already kind of put out there, right? Because they're already changing the name. They're already denying everything. Multiple names for their brokering and leasing companies, right?
I don't understand.
Right. And with all the other names below them. But again, if they're operating on an MC number that's common, used by all these people, then you're running for that. That's a carrier. They're dispatching you. They're paying you. They're tracking your logs. They're doing all that stuff. That's a carrier.
Right.
That's not a broker service. That's not a dispatching service even.
Yeah, I mean, you know, so we just had a Landstar guy on here. They're set up sort of kind of similar to a Super Ego.
Right.
But they do it right.
Right.
And they don't pretend to not be a carrier. They're a motor carrier. That, you know, they're non-asset based like Panther is, which means that they don't own the equipment. They have lease operators that own the equipment. But they are a motor carrier.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, but with all that being said, again, it's not just Super Ego. And these are our opinions individually, not the opinions of Contractors Corner Consulting Group or Road Warrior Entrepreneurs. This is my opinion. All these companies suck. I hope they all get caught. I hope they all get burned, and before they kill any more people on the road.
And I would just like to say for the record that the administration out there is not doing enough for enforcement, period. I'm sorry. I really had high hopes for Derek Bars and Duffy when they came in that they were going to take the bull by the horns and show us something. I've been very disappointed with this whole last year. And this is my own opinion. I'm just saying. And I think that by the time we get around to addressing something, we are 17 problems past that already.
Right.
We need a more responsive administration, somebody that can can't assess these problems as they happen and make immediate determinations on them,
Right.
and get some rules put into place that help prevent them in the future.
And by the time that they actually catch these people, those people are, like you said, 17 steps ahead of them.
Right.
And they can't find
they've
them.
already rebranded and moved on.
We're still talking about broker transparency from 5 years ago,
Right.
4 years ago, or whatever. I mean, get over it. We're past broker transparency now, folks. Now we're on to this, and this, and this. You know, we're on to chameleon carriers and what. But stop.
No, and you know, so you know, these aren't our typical shows, but I like shows like these where we can actually have real discussions.
And to your point, Jenny, that's the enforcement thing. That's been a problem for a long, long time. You know,
I mean, I realize government moves slow, Jeff, but geez, I mean, come on, you have to stay current.
And well, my point is that they dropped the ball decades ago on enforcement.
Right.
And I don't see. I'm not really like a Trumpanista, but I don't hate the guy either, right?
Right. Me too.
And I was really hoping that his people would come in and say, "All right, we're going to start enforcing this shit."
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I haven't seen it. You know, the English language thing is what they chose to focus on, which that was definitely a concern. But what about these people like Super Ego? The people that are actually harming people. And if you notice that
I'm mad at you right now.
Huh?
Oh, sorry, I was talking to Tim Thransom. I apologize.
Oh, you're mad at Tim?
I put on my MAGA hat.
Oh, okay. Trumpanista.
Not bad.
But you know, the interview with what's his name, the transportation secretary that they did on that show, he indicated that it was a staffing issue. And I'm like, okay, well, you just had this mega group led by Elon Musk that went through and cleaned the books of the U.S. federal government.
Right.
So now you have the money, since the budget's all cleaned up, supposedly, to hire a few guys to do this thing. You know? And
you would think.
Yeah. I think you said they hired 40 people, which I think is not enough.
Look, I mean,
investigations like this take a whole staff.
What is the Trans DOT budget now, or the FMCSA's budget now? I mean, give me a couple $1 million and 25 of my closest fraud fighting friends, and we'll clean this stuff up real quick.
Right.
I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, I called the FBI about a warehouse in Yuma, Arizona. Yeah, guys, that was me. Just let everybody know. But I had a carrier that was taking loads from WhatsApp. No, not from WhatsApp, from a text chain, not WhatsApp or Telegram, a regular text chain, because there was a lot of ELP, non-compliant ELP drivers that have been here forever, and they were just trying to keep loads moving to keep their families fed. And they were trying to avoid brokers, thinking brokers were going to turn them in for not being ELP compliant. And they were taking loads from a text chain, not a WhatsApp or a Telegram. And they were taking them to Yuma. And I talked about this a while back when I was doing all of my fraud stuff. That I was, and I wanted all the updates on all that stuff. But these guys were hauling these loads of produce into the warehouse in Yuma, which is pissing distance from the Mexico border.
Right.
And they were taking in, and there were like 17 BOLs in one order of these carrots going in there, and they were supposed to be delivered all over city-state pairs from Florida to Michigan to Missouri to South Carolina, and they were all on the same truck. All of them had the same delivery date of whatever date at 2:45 a.m. for every single load. So you couldn't be in 17 places at once, obviously. So they were hauling them into that warehouse, and then I don't know what happened to them. Were they putting stuff in it? They're stealing it, going over the border. I mean, who's going to look at a load of carrots? Nobody wants carrots. I mean, or was the stuff already in the warehouse, and they were putting the stuff into those smaller loads and heading them out to destination cities, whatever it was, drugs, arms, whatever they are, anything. So it makes you wonder, you know, what's really, you know, going on in these places. And I called the FBI, and I mean 2 weeks later they called me up and they're like, so I don't really understand transportation. How do you know that that these loads are being stolen, or that that's cargo theft, or that there's
right.
And I was like, because I've been doing this for 7 years. I mean, like, I can see it and I recognize it and I understand it. So this guy's been investigating it for a whole month, and he calls me up and I was like, so how are we doing? Is it still a wild goose chase? Are we getting somewhere? Oh, pretty much still a wild goose chase at this point. But hey, I got my partner with me and he understands transportation better. So could you start over from the beginning?
Nice.
And I started over from the beginning. That guy didn't have a clue what I was talking about either. Like, he did not, you might have understood it better than the first guy, but he didn't understand it still. And I was just like, forget it now, guys. I mean, this is like a day late, $1 short. They've cleared that warehouse out and moved on 6 times since then.
Right.
So, Jenny, in answer to your question, the 27 budget proposal, April 2026, says FMCSA funding is what they're asking for is $946 million.
Yeah, I'll take $100 million and 25 of my closest friends, and we'll clean this shit up.
Right, $398 million would be dedicated to standard agency operations and safety programs. In safety grants, there's $548 million is proposed for motor carrier safety grants to support state and local partners. Targeted areas, the Department of Transportation stated this funding would prioritize targeting high-risk carriers, deploying modern tools to improve regulatory effectiveness and reducing service barriers. So, I mean, it sounds like in this budget, they're doing what we're saying.
Okay, that's good.
Right? I just think they're decades late.
Look at me.
Right. Don't do that. Stop. Yeah. No, don't do that.
So, NARC 2028, and then he can appoint Jenny as transportation secretary.
So, I mean, I was actually in pretty good with a guy that was running for president against Trump, Albert Harshaw, and he actually went and he bowed out of that race and went and did something more local in New Jersey, I think is where he's out of. But Albert Harshaw, I kept telling him, well, when you get to be president, I'm going to be secretary of transportation, and I was all ready for that position. I was had my bags packed, ready to go to Washington, but didn't work out for me. So,
God, I would not want to work in that environment.
No.
You know what I mean?
But I mean, if they would just give, like, take your $800 million and go do your thing over here. Give me $100 million. I'll get 25 or 40 of my closest friends, and we will beat the fraud out of these people.
Right.
Yeah.
But these people that are doing the stuff, the administrators that they have, and bless their hearts, they try to help. I will say the NCCDB is better than it was going through the National Consumer Complaint Database on the FMCSA website.
Right.
Now they give you a ticket number and they do follow up with you, and you do hear from somebody. But before, you would just kind of go into a black hole and you never heard anything. So they are doing better with that. I will say that much. But I had a household. I don't deal in household goods, and I had a household good move that I'm telling you, it was supposed to be a 14-mile move in Ohio, and the carrier took her belongings to New Jersey and stored them because that's where they were domiciled out of.
I remember
she never got her stuff back. Never got her stuff back. They did eventually. That broker did eventually return her initial deposit of $28.39 or whatever it was that she initially paid.
Right.
But she never did get her stuff back. We never wound up being able to go get it. And initially the FMCSA said, Ohio said, this isn't ours. We can't deal with this because it's an interstate carrier, and they took her belongings out of state, so it's an interstate load. So it's an FMCSA issue. 2 months into this, they flipped it back and said, nope, this is only supposed to be a 14-mile move, origin, destination, Ohio. It's an intrastate load. FMCSA has nothing to do with it. We can't help you anymore. After they had been helping for 2 months.
All right. On that note, we're going to wrap this thing up, y'all. Jenny, once again, thank you. Let me throw your info up there. I got it right here at the top. Look at that. I've been ready for it.
Call me.
Give her a call. You can go to www.frscollects.com. You can call her at 901-832-8052, or you can email her at jennifer@frscollects.com. Scrolling across the screen, go back. Grab this at the end. If you didn't get it, hit pause, write it down, call her number. Just say hey, whatever.
Just say hey.
Mention the show.
These are my guys right here.
Right. Jeff, what do you got, buddy?
Well, coming at you from my custom Western Star, what I have to say is keep that rubber side down, and remember, with no action, there is no traction, so get after it.
look after each other. That's what we're trying to do is help you look after each other, look after you, look after us. You have my back, I got yours. Don't be a jerk. Like I told my kids growing up and my grandkids today, don't be a dick. Simple rule for life. Go on with that. I love y'all. We'll see you next week.
Stay safe.
Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern time, like every week, or we try to. And